this session, we are going to be talking about logo presentation, right? But I think I'll start off this way by making this statement. It's going to sound daring, but I think that you guys already know how to do logo presentations, right? But maybe you guys haven't exactly simplified or kind of like um, made an intentional approach, or created an intentional approach behind how these presentations work. I don't know if you guys agree with that statement. Also, yeah, can this be more interactive? I don't want this to be like, oh, I'm just talking. This is not a presentation. This is like a session where we are talking, kind of. So this is the part where I turn off my camera because I'm the only one that has his camera on. So yeah, do you guys agree with what I said um, just now? Turn off the mics and speak, please. Richard, Sonia, Tolulope, Modupe, Peace, Precious, Eunice. Are you guys here?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
sorry, I was grabbing my notebook and pen, so I was slightly distracted. I'm here.
Oh, it's fine. So like I said, I want this session to be as interactive as possible. I'm not here to deliver a presentation and move on. So yeah. So what did you guys think about the statements I made before? Do you guys believe that you already know how to do logo presentations generally?
No, I don't think I do. I might have an idea, but I don't think I do.
Okay. What idea do you have so far about logo presentations?
It's, I've heard my former tutors talk about mock-ups and mood board and all of that. Although I've applied a few, but I don't think I have I generally do not have the proper logo presentation. I don't know how to do it.
Okay. So far, the previous tutors, what have they covered? I think it's like a general question though. Maybe I shouldn't think I'm just talking to Richard Sonia.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
Really?
Can you hear me? Can
Yeah, I
anyone
can
hear
hear
me?
you.
Yeah.
Okay, for me, logo presentation, I've really worked with something like um presenting my logo in Photoshop, kind of making mock-up. So that's the only means I know I can do it. I don't know if there's any other means to accomplish that. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So I need more comments from other people. Hi, Lovett. I think you just joined. Welcome to the session.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Modupe. Good evening, Lovett.
Yeah, when it comes to logo presentations, I've actually since last year I've been watching videos on how to properly present because me too before I just take a screenshot and just show it to whoever. But I learned that there's actually a process behind it. And online there are some templates on how to present. Some people give out free templates on how to present your logos very well, but it's still something I'm learning. I'm not really there yet.
All right. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Who else? Who else? More comments. More comments. Precious, you are here with us when we started. So yeah, say something. Like I said, this is supposed to be very interactive. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want us to have a conversation about the entire thing we're going to learn today. As much as possible, let's engage. That's the whole point. Because if this is not supposed to be like a presentation, I just deliver something and you guys just go. That's not how you learn. You learn by doing and having the relevant conversation. So yeah, more comments from everybody. What do you know so far about logo presentation, logo design? Just walk me through it. One is on this call. Let me check. Hi, Ruchi though. Love it. Are you here? Do you need me to go over the question now?
I'm here. Good evening. Sorry, place I am is kind of noisy, but I think what I know about logo presentation is first of all, you create your ideas or slides. I don't I don't know if I'm making sense, Sha.
No, go on, go on.
Uh,
I'm listening.
you can use like the one I know, the one I've tried is using Figma to create slides of the brand stories, the typography use, the color scheme you use for the logo, the brand language, the imagery, and so forth. is is what I think it's all about. I don't know. Maybe I stand corrected.
Yeah, don't worry. I think we are making a lot of sense. It's in line with a lot of things that has to do with logo presentation. So nice one.
Okay, thank you. This is one I know.
Nice one. Tolope, you're up.
Okay. Sorry. So, for me, what I understand by logo presentation is just trying to like show your truth and your thought process behind um a particular logo. So for me, I'm not really a brand designer, but for the logo presentation, I think you start with doing a lot of research. Let's say, okay, you want to create a logo behind a flower, you're going to look into, okay, the in-depth meaning of that flower, and now it kind of like resonates with your company. All right, then you need to look at the goal of the company, create word maps, which helps you to create, okay, is it a kind of like a word map logo that actually fits this concept, or you actually need to use another type of logo. So you just create the whole concept beside the logo. Then you go to your typography choice. You don't just choose a typography. So everything is just about, okay, you're telling a story, and your all this is going to be like in the presentation, the color you're using. Am I using blue because, okay, blue is calm and it's used by most fintech? Am I using green because, okay, it's agriculture? And okay, it's just about you trying to convince your clients. Do you understand? For why you actually went with a particular logo. Then after coming up, you create sketches, you create your logo, and then for me, I go to Freepik to like get mock-ups, which I later get the EPS version to my Adobe Illustrator. So you try to like create mock-ups. So this kind of like brings your logo to life and allows the client to kind of like see how it's going to be. So it's just about trying to convince the client or telling a story about a particular product. Thanks.
All right, so that was pretty in depth. Yeah, you made a couple of should I say strong points, where you said it's about you convincing the clients in some way. So sometimes us as designers, we have this impression. I think it's a bias, right? Or it's a sentimental attachment to every single work that we produce. That you think that you put in 100% effort or 90% effort into this. That means that whatever clients or whichever clients you are going to be talking to, obviously can see this effort they are putting into this project, and as such has to approve whatever you give to them just by you showing them, right? But I do believe when it comes to, I think everything design, there's the business of design, and then there's the creative side of design. And for presentation is more of a business side because you are doing the convincing, you are doing the marketing, and the creative side is everything that has to do every single thing that you have to do prior to the presentation part of it. Are you guys following so far? I
Yes.
need All right. So for this is how I want to approach our session, right? I'm going to split it into three phases, right? So these three phases is gotten from the design thinking process. I don't know if you guys have heard about it. Design thinking process. Have you guys heard about the design thinking process? It's built like a five-step process. All right.
Yes, we.
Okay. So design thinking process, you start from empathizing, with the user or the client. No, the user and the client. That's the audience and the client. Then you go over to defining the problem. And then from defining the problem, you ideate, starts coming up with those amazing ideas. Then after ideating, you do your prototyping. And after prototyping, you do your testing. And then let us bring it down to what we are doing today, which is the whole logo design and brand identity related topic. So empathy in this case, the first phase is you empathizing, understanding the audience, understanding the business goals, the key attributes of the business, every single thing that has to do with the foundation or the DNA of that brand or that logo that you're trying to make, defining the business, defining the brand's goals, and then creating an entire, should I say, problem statement that you're trying to solve using your logo or using the brand identity. Are you guys following so far? You feel free to cut me
Yes.
off. Or remember, this is like a discussion, so feel free to cut me off if you need to. If you want to add something, if you want to clarify a couple of things, just interject. Just raise your hand and interject. So when you're done doing the empathy phase, although I'm going to go in depth into these things because for you to get to that presentation, there's like a build up to that point. You don't just, I'm not here. I know probably you guys expected that, oh, presentation, I'll tell you guys, do A, do B. You're supposed to use this template. You're supposed to use this typography. This is the template. But that's not how presentation works. Presentation is like a build up from an abstract to something that is known. And that's what I'm letting you guys know now using the design thinking process. So after empathizing and coming up with the problem that you're trying to solve using this logo, the brand identity that, or what the problem of the business is from a brand perspective, you now go over to coming up with the ideas. That's where the mood boards come in, the sketches obviously come in, and then maybe you refine your logo. It's kind of like creating a digital design for it, just like refinement. And then after that, before you start doing your presentation and then explain how intentional you were about every single thing that you did, kind of like your walkthrough. Are you guys following so far?
Yes.
All right. So I'll just take it bit by bit. So this session, like I said, is all hands on deck. If you have any questions, just ask and I'll just apply to that. So a logo. So what do you guys think a logo is? Let's start off. Let's start from there. So who's my favorite friend here? Love it. What do you think a logo is?
Okay, for what I have learned so far, I I know that a logo is not a brand. The logo is not because a logo is also not a brand identity. A logo is just a mark or symbol that represents a business organization. I don't know. So that's what I think.
Okay. So there's just one advice I have, right? So when you answer questions, okay, Eunice, you're going to go next after I'm done. So I want you guys, when you guys are talking about these things that you know, right? Be confident about it. There's no right or wrong. Say, okay, this is what I think it is. Don't end your statement with I don't know. Do you get? Say it with a lot of confidence. Because that's what's going to separate you from a bunch of designers and it's going to help you go very far. So if your clients or anyone you are talking to, once they notice that you're not so confident with whatever you are saying to a certain degree, they won't actually want to interact with you, or they'll feel like, okay, this person is not so solid, and as such, I can't hire the person. So let's do an exercise throughout this call. When you are talking, talk with confidence, and even when you're not sure, you can say, okay, this is to the knowledge that I have so far with this, and this is what I think it is. Don't end it with I don't know. You get very confident, please.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, but you're on the right path actually. Someone raised their hand. Atolope. Hope I pronounced your name very well.
I want to
Forgive me.
say something.
No, you didn't. Tolulope, but not.
Yeah, you need to. Sorry, you need first.
Okay, from what I've gathered from the class, I can say that it is a symbol that is comprised with words, images, colors that can also identify a branch, since a logo cannot be a branch.
All right. No, that's solid. That's
It's
solid.
just a part of a branch.
All right. Nice one. Nice one, Ines. So Lokbe, I got it right, Abby.
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
So from what I learned, a logo represents a company, or it represents a brand, and it kind of like creates a connection between the brand and its users.
All right. Oh, cool, cool, cool. Got it. Solid. I think Richard, Sonia, I think I wanted to say something.
Yes, you have. I was going to define a logo based on what I have been taught and previous knowledge. I would simply say a logo is a graphic mark or symbol that represents a brand and aids in identification from its competitors and other brands.
All right. To be honest, everyone is in line with what a logo is, right? Well, I think let me put it into like a simpler perspective, or the way you guys should think about logos and every single thing that has to do with like brand identities and all that. So when I think about branding or think about brand identities, I think about the human being and how you exist. So um, to an entire bunch, or when it comes to classification in the animal kingdom, we are like the Homo sapiens and the top level humans, right? We dominate every single thing on earth. And then we are human beings, and we have every single person has their own name. Every single person has their own gender they identify with. Although we have a lot of genders now according to society, but that's story for another day. But everybody has their own gender that they identify as. Everybody has their own personality. Everybody has their favorite color. Everybody has the way they talk. Everybody has their ethnicity. There's just a lot of personalization with respect to every single human being on earth, right? And those things that make you who you are, that differentiate you from Mr. A and Mr. B, that's basically what your entire brand is. So let's put it into perspective. So my name is Gochku Ikeme.
Please, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Is this better? Can you guys hear me? Please, can you hear me very well now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I'll use myself as an example. So my name is Ochikeme, and that's my name, right? I am dark. I put on glasses. I can't see very well. 6 feet tall. I like playing football, right? So when you meet me in different settings, these different things that you know about me, my height, my eye defect. Love it. You wanted to say something? Or was it a mistake?
Sorry, it was a mistake, but I wanted to type something, but it's a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so my name, every single thing that has to do with myself, or when you are describing me, those things can be seen as different touch points that expresses who I am as a person, right? All those things as in, should I say, in isolation, is all part of who I am as a human being. So in this case, Gochki Keme is my name. That's one part, that's one touch point, which is my name. The way I speak, that could be like my tone. The words that I use could be my messaging, and these are touch points that still that can generally classified as my own brand or my own brand identity. And then the way I walk, all those things are various touch points. So when you think about a logo, right, it's just a touch point out of the entire bunch of other things that you can use to express what's a perception that the brand has, or a perception people have about that particular brand. So just think about that particular logo as one touch point, right? Specifically used to differentiate a brand visually from every other brand. It's just like a mark that differentiates a particular brand or a particular business out of the entire competition, out of the its entire product mix or different people or different industries is going to be interacting with or existing. I don't know if that makes sense. But if you guys have any questions so far.
No questions. It makes sense.
Okay. So in the case of
Please, can you just
logo,
recap a
okay.
little?
Okay, just to go over what I said. So I was using myself or using a person, in this case myself, as an analogy for what brand identity is and just trying to explain what a logo is. So I have a name, I have the way I talk, I have specific words that I use, and all these things work in isolation, but together they kind of like give their summation of who I am, which is my own brand or my own brand identity or branding, right? And bringing it back to the conversation we're having about logos. So the logo itself is just one part of an entire mix of touch points, right? These touch points include the messaging of the brand, the tone of the brand, maybe the industry that the brand exists in. What are those applications? What is that industry? Get all those sort of things. Those are different touch points that expresses or creates a perception about a particular brand. So in the case of the logo is one touch point out of this entire mix for a brand that specifically differentiates a brand from every other competition that it has or everybody in operating in the industry visually. So it's just like a symbol out of the entire that just a symbol that just acts as a mark for the brand. Could be a symbol, could be a word mark, anything. I don't know if you got that, Eunice.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
so you have that particular touch points, but when you are thinking about maybe creating an entire presentation, certain vital or some other touch points need to be considered to kind of like build up to what the presentation is going to be, because you always want to cover every single or maybe cover the majority of the most important touch points for you to make a solid presentation. Like I said in the beginning, one side is the creative side and the other part is the business side, where you're trying to convince the client on whatever concepts that you are selling to them. It's not all about, oh, I created something, I spent hours. Your client, 90% of the time, is not a creative person. He or she has a bias towards whatever they like and whatever they don't like. So it's your job as a designer to bring them into your process, into those ideas that you created, thus painting a particular picture so they understand how you came about this thing and even appreciate it to a certain degree, right? So they can say, okay, I like this idea because I understand what the designer was trying to do, as opposed to you just create a presentation and say, okay, this is supposed to be there, this is supposed to be there. I'm putting this screenshots, I'm putting this mock up. You don't know why you are doing it. You're not being intentional about it. You're not looking at the business side or selling it to this client. You're just doing a cliche presentation and you're giving it to the person, which is something that most designers get wrong. There's no one way to do your presentation, but it's very important that you're intentional about every single step, because you are being a salesperson at this point. You are no more a designer when you are selling this, or when you're presenting this thing. You're no more a designer per se, right? At this point, you're more of a marketing or a salesperson. I don't know if that makes sense so far.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
All right. So I don't know if I should. I think I would like to go over how logos are made, or have you guys covered anything with respect to that? Logo design process.
No, please, you can just go ahead
Not
and
yet.
tell.
Okay. Um, okay, so I've already explained what logos are and what function that they do or the brand identity or branding process, right? But it's very for you to create a logo, you obviously need to conduct research, understand your clients, the industry, then gather inspiration from various sources, and also create like mood boards to create a visual direction for what you are creating, right? So I'm going to share my screen. So I'll show you guys what a typical client questionnaire could look like. So let me know, but let me know when you guys can see my screen. I'll be sharing it right now. Give me a second. So I don't know if you guys can see my screen.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yes, I can see.
All right. So this is like a typical, this is a questionnaire that I normally use for my clients. Although I've kind of switched this up, I'm just going to run you guys through my process. So let's assume a client comes to me and says, "Oh, I heard about your brand. I want to work with you." And then, how do we proceed? So at this point, I don't know anything about the client. I want to know your brand. I want to know your business. I want to know your challenges. I just want to like empathize with the brand. I'm not rushing to say, "Oh, this is my price." I'm not rushing to say, um, "This is." I'm just going to create a logo for you. No, I need information so I can hit the nail on the head. Because in the world that we live in today, there are like a million brands, a million logos. In a day, just by looking around in your room, you can see at least 5 logos. If you look around your room right now, you guys can do that right now. Look around, you find out that you have at least maybe 5, or let me just say 3, let me not exaggerate, at least 3 logos of different brands printed somewhere. It could be your pen, it could be your sunglasses, it could be maybe even the devices that you're using right now. There are a lot of logos on the screen. So there's always like there's a million brands out there. But what you want to do is to create something that is authentic and something that is very simple, right? So at that very instance, what you're trying to do is just like getting to know the brand. I think I look at branding. This is probably off topic, but when you are doing branding or creating brand identities, it's like you are doing a talking stage with someone. I know it's totally absurd, but that's what it is. Or that's how I think about it. This is like a talking stage, and I'm trying to get to know this person, know what makes them tick, and all that good stuff. So first off is the brand name. So I want to know the name of the brand, right? Because that's what's going to influence a couple of things with respect to the type you're using, or maybe okay, the words you're using per se. Then the second question here, remember there are a lot of ways you can spin this, but this is like these questions here are basically to direct the conversation. It's not supposed to be like, oh, they answer these questions and then um we just move on with it, you know. So what you're going to next question is what product or service are they selling or the business is selling. So here you're trying to sum up, you're trying to get the goals, the mission and purpose of the business. Do you get who's their ideal target audience and what maybe their audience stands to benefit from their service or product. At each point, there are the two things that a business or an entrepreneur is trying to achieve by creating a product or offering a particular service. First of all, is that they're trying to provide value, right, for their audience. That's the very first thing that they want to do. So when they provide that value, in the long run, that value that they are creating for them or that opportunity they are creating for them could be transformed into like a monetary benefits for themselves as a business, right? It's not all about, oh, we're providing value, we're providing, which is nice. So that should come first, no matter what, when it comes to business. But then there's the other side of, okay, we want to make money. But that one is specific to the business. But first thing is what? Offering value. And that is what you are supposed to focus on more, right? What value is this particular business or this particular product going to give to its audience? And then this is the part where you should urge the client to be as expressive as possible. And then listen for particular words that they are using and use open ended questions. I don't know if you can actually do an exercise now um, just for me to explain kind of what I mean. So let me check the chats. Who wants to talk? Who wants to be my dummy client? Okay, Richard.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, the client.
Alright.
So, what's your business or brand name?
Um. Um. My my brand name would be. Is it okay if I don't have a brand name yet, but I can tell you about my brand? Or must it have?
No, no, don't speak any name. Don't speak any name. We just well, this is like improv.
Okay, okay. Sweet and savory.
Ah, Mado, sweet and savory. So S and S.
Yes, S and S.
All right, S and S. So what product and service are you selling?
Catering.
Catering. Can you talk more about the catering?
Okay, well, my brand's mission is to serve my customers delicious meals that are affordable. It doesn't have to be a cutthroat. You don't have to break the bank to eat delicious meals, whatever you want. It can be delivered to your doorstep. Yeah. It caters for all of your needs, be it you're diabetic or lactose intolerant, you have ulcer and all of that. It caters to everybody.
Okay. So the next question I'm going to ask, right? I heard a few things. You're talking about being like a generalist, right? With respect to the food that are giving to people, right? But
Yes.
it's very like, should I say, it's like it brings up like a bulb in my head because why are you generalizing? There must be a reason why. So now what I'll do as a brand designer is ask you, okay, why are you generalizing? Why are you not going for this thing? What they call it? A more niche, should I say, food mix.
In the food industry, yes, in the food catering field, there are a lot of people that would go strictly for confectionaries. There are others that would go strictly for, solely for food. But then imagine if a customer wants to have confectionery and at the same time wants to have a meal take home, or they want to have food and then they want to have confectionaries take home, or they want a parfait and then food. I just want to create a space whereby they can have whatever it is whenever they want. They should not be restricted to choosing just one, because I personally am somebody that likes to not choose only one. So, and I believe there are people out there that would want to not be confined to just one kind of food
All right.
or
Okay.
some.
Okay. Again, so I'm just going to be talking you guys through what I'm doing. So right now, you notice that I'm letting her speak, right? And give her a chance to express herself. Try as much as possible, not cutting when you're having these conversations. Remember what I said, this is like the very, very first line of communication. Most of the time, it's very good for you to like set up a call and have this conversation with them, or you send in this questionnaire first and they try to answer it. Then you get on a call with them and you guys talk about these things. Because if it's very easy for them, I think most people are not exactly expressive when it comes to writing, or when they are talking. People want to talk, people want to be listened to. So you give them that opportunity by setting up a call and then having all these conversations with them. I don't know if everybody's following so far.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, go on. You want to say something? Richard, you want to say something?
No, no, I just said yes, I'm following.
Okay, okay. So next question I want to ask is more on the target audience, right? You're saying that you're
Yeah, so
page of people you okay, no problem. So can you split this audience into certain percentages for me?
Okay. So I would like to target the youths. Um
I think the facilitator had a network issue, so let's just wait for him for a bit. Sorry, guys. Just you can hear me a bit? Okay. All right.
Hello?
Can you guys hear me? I was saying my network dropped, for a second. Sorry about that. But can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes.
can hear you.
Okay, so I'm sharing my screen again. So I was
Yes.
asking about Richard, I was asking you the percentage, like how would you split your target audience? You said the youths. Yeah, so continue with that.
Okay. I said at 65% of my target audience would be the youth, both working class, unemployed, students, not students. Then for the other 25, I would target 15% for the elderly and then 10% for children.
All right. So if you guys notice what happened with me asking that question, I have more specific with respect to my main focus, right, for the brand. Sometimes people want to. The thing is that you cannot serve everybody when it comes to your product or your service. You can start off as serving, like you want to go into the market with some sort of niche or some sort of specifics with respect to what you are offering. Then when you assert your dominance over a period of time, you can now start tailoring your deliverables or your brand DNA to accommodate other people. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just a business thing.
Yes, it
So,
does.
so as a brand designer, as a designer, or as a designer,
No, please record.
okay. So I'm saying that I kept asking. If you notice, we are still on one particular question. The question I asked her was what product or service she's selling, and I kept asking questions. I kept asking questions, and now she has explained to me that 65% of her target audience are youths, and then the rest is split between the old people and students and children, right? So the main focus is on the youths. And when it comes to from a business side of things, because as a designer, you're thinking about the brand side and you're also thinking about the business. You're not supposed to be just thinking about um one side of the should I say one side of the coin. You should think about whatever you're doing from the business side and then from the design side. So from the business side, it's very important for brands and products to kind of have a niche so it can easily be picked out from the bunch. Because if you go into the market and saying, oh, I'm serving everybody, you won't exactly have like an X factor, something that makes you special. But if you define, okay, this is my target audience, this is my main target audience, and other people are welcome to join, but yes, the people that you're selling to are these people, it's going to be easier to push into the market and go into this market and sell to them specifically for you to like get returns. I don't know if that makes sense. All right. So if you notice, I kept this question just started off as her just explaining to me what her business. Yeah. So if you notice that the
Yes.
conversation just started as her telling me about her business and her target audience, and now I started asking her more questions. We are still on that very first question I asked. I kept asking her questions, and now I found out that her target audience was just majority is on the youth's end. Do you get? So these are how conversations should be had. Never don't just go in and say, okay, once they tell you this is what it is, you go with that. No. Think about listen attentively to what they are saying, the words they are using, how they're expressing themselves, and ask more questions. Because you need a lot of clarity at this point for you to create like a general brief or overview of what this brand is. Giving them what they need, not what they want. That's another thing you should pay attention to. You are the expert. You are hired because because of your expertise. and you should give the clients what they need, not what they want. Because most times clients think they know what they want, but from a designer's point of view and from your own expert view, they need specific things to excel, right? So try as much as possible to give the clients what they need. So the same idea with asking all these questions and listening to them comes to play with all these other questions here. So what challenges do you have for this product or service? Richard, I think I'll continue. We'll just take maybe like two other questions, then I'll end this side of conversation.
Okay, sorry, what's your question again?
So what challenges do you have for this product or service?
Okay, for starters, for starters, I feel like my brand name isn't isn't giving the message I want. I do not have a logo. Basically, I don't have my whole brand set up. I just have this idea in my head, and I cannot bring it out on my own. And I have this feeling that I would not be able to paint this picture to my target audience. I would not be able to deliver what I want to them, so they can relate and patronize. I have this feeling. I don't know how I would stand out. Yes, I don't know how I would stand out amongst my competitors and other brands.
Okay. So this is what I hear you say, correct me if I'm wrong. The challenge they are facing is that you don't have a solid should I say brand image or a brand story that would identify with your target audience.
Yes.
Okay. So notice what I did here. In a situation where a client just keeps on talking and talking and talking and you've been listening. So if you have a particular understanding about what they said, rephrase that thing that they said and ask them if that's what they mean. It's just a trick that I learned. So the clients can just go on and tell you, oh, this one, they want this one to fly, they want this one to do this, they want this one to do that. But when you listen, you might find out that, okay, this is the words, this is actually what these words mean. And it can summarize as, okay, a brand story problem and then a symbol problem. And you ask them, okay, this is what I hear you say. And you make that same statement, ask them to clarify. It's just like if you're doing a reported speech and phrasing what they said, and that will give you more clarity. You get when you do all these things, you make sure that this even tells the clients that you are invested in what you are doing or the conversations that you guys are having, as opposed to them just coming and saying a lot of things. There's one thing about you listening and you listening effectively and attentively. So always try as much as possible to make the clients feel like you are listening. Other questions go on and on about talking about the organization, what the audience cares about, what makes the business unique, why they need a new brand identity, maybe adjectives, the applications, where the logo is going to be applied, all that stuff. Then this question where it says what brands they love and why. So the main reason why this question is normally asked is for you to get a taste of a sense of taste of what the clients likes and what they don't like. Because like I said during the start of this conversation that we're having, that there's a bias already with respect to what people like and what people don't like. Think about it this way. I'll use Chicken Republic and KFC. So Eunice, which between Chicken Republic and KFC, which one do you prefer? Hello, Eunice.
Sorry, I didn't
I
hear
think
your question.
I think I prefer Chicken Republic.
I prefer
Okay,
Chicken Republic.
why?
Thank you.
So why do you like Chicken Republic?
Okay.
They both sell crispy chicken.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, they do. They sell good crispy chicken, and I enjoyed their burger more than I did KFC's. Not to talk of their shawarma. It's
Why?
it, I enjoyed it. I don't know. I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed KFC. I don't know if it's because I had KFC in Port Harcourt, or maybe if I have it in Lagos, it will taste differently. But I enjoy Chicken Republic more than I do KFC.
Okay. I think Mudipe wanted to say something.
Okay, yes, when it comes to Chicken Republic, I love the fact that they are very affordable. I also love their brand, their logo. I really like their logo. And the fact that it's more of a Nigerian brand. I'm loyal to a lot of like Nigerian brands. KFC is more international than
Patriotic citizen.
yes,
Love to see it.
exactly. So I love the fact that I'm loyal to Nigerian brands, and just like Richard said, their food is also really good. It's actually very very good, and they are more affordable than KFC right as of right now. I don't know, but
Yes,
yeah,
very,
they are
very,
really
very
they are
affordable.
very affordable. Even though Nigeria is all like we know what's going on in the country, they still try to make sure they
You
keep
guys,
their
you
customers
guys are
happy.
very interesting people. When I start talking about, I brought up food. Everybody start talking.
Okay, so that's just all.
Well, yeah. So you see what's happening here. Already, you guys have a bias towards Chicken Republic for very valid reasons, and that would influence things that maybe a designer creates. If someone creates something that is similar to Chicken Republic, imitating their affordable pricing, imitating how simple their logo is, imitating how sweet that their shawarma or burger is, you guys will just fall in love with it. So it's very important for you to keep that in mind. But it's not for you to like hold on very strong to it. But this gives you insight as to what this person would like. Do you get? And find a way to maybe incorporate it if need be, if it's solid enough for you to incorporate it into your ideation phase. Do you get? But this is like gauging the personality of your client and what their expectations could be. Like I said, this is just like a talking stage. You are trying to get to know the clients and getting to know the brand. I don't know if that makes sense so far.
It
Yeah.
does. It
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
it does.
the final question I normally ask is how many people are responsible for the use of the brand identity? So most times, you have like a lot of stakeholders that are going to be answering to, but sometimes, or in most cases, there's one person that generally has like, so in this case, this is just you asking about what they call it. When you're done creating the brand identity, which people are going to be handling it? Is it going to be just the owner, or are they going to have like designers that are going to be handling it? So this gives you insight as to, okay, how are you going to be creating this brand identity, or the deliverables are going to be creating? Is it going to be so technical for people to use, or are you going to have to do certain things to onboard them? Or not say I'm not going to onboard them, but just need to get a sense of what the organizational structure for your offboarding is going to be. So how many people are responsible for the use of the brand identity? So they might say, okay, they have like 2 designers, they have 1 designer and all that. And again, at this point, try to, when you're having those conversations, I think you probably notice who has the final say in the whole logo decision when it comes to them making their choice. Because something that happens, I'm just giving you guys industry knowledge. So what happens most of the time is that you are done creating a logo and with every single information that you have. I now find out that the person that has the final say is probably the product manager or project manager, and that person actually doesn't like it. So you should try as much as possible while you're having the conversations. You try to get the sense of, okay, who has final says, who has more authority with respect to the final decision making for this particular project, and find a way and kind of like understand them, understand how they think, so you can structure your presentation in that way, so it makes sense to them because what you're selling to these people. I don't know if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you guys? All right. So, let me stop sharing my screen so I can continue this. I hope you guys have been getting something so far. I know we haven't jumped into the logo presentation side, but like I said, this is just like a walkthrough of the prerequisites of things that should happen before you get to that stage. So, After this point, this is where you gather insights. Maybe you might find out that the challenges might, like I said, in this case of S&S, is that they have a brand story problem. So now you have to pay attention to the tone and messaging, right? Then obviously you need to pay attention to the visual identity, and everything needs to like match up. So now you've gone from creating just a logo to now creating something more extensive, where you consider the tone, the messaging, and how it ties well to the visual identity. It's not just you creating a logo and moving on with it. You get, at each point, try as much as possible to go above and beyond when you're creating these things, because every single work should feel like your best work. You should feel like it's most times it's not your best work per se, but you should try to put 101% effort into every single project and build a product or create your logo identities or logo designs with a lot of passion and a lot of heart. But after this point, you now take all those information that you're having with maybe the brand attributes, the story, and the challenges that they told you about. Then you go into creating like a mood board. I don't know if you guys know how to create a mood board.
Yes.
Okay, so can you walk me through how you create mood boards? Hello. How do you create mood boards?
Okay. Mood boards, from what I know, it's telling a kind of, if this particular person, anyone that has to do with the person's mood, like how do I put it? There's the way they do calculate it. Okay, let me just gather my whole this and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Okay, what I
Yeah,
think,
go on, love it.
what I think a mood board is just basically, let's say for instance, you're creating a logo for a food drink. So basically, you're going to gather information or inspiration based on, let's say for instance, now you're creating a soft drink like Coca-Cola, sorry, something related to Coca-Cola now. You're going to like look for, let's say for instance, look for logos that are related to the product. For example, the bottle shape, how the bottle shape is going to be, some inspiration, some companies, other competitors are doing the same thing you're doing, their logos, the colors they use. It's basically taking inspiration from other existing product that is related to your product. That's what
All right. That's one way to go, but I'll make comments on that. Does any other person want to like make comments? Precious, I think deep down, I think you have something to say. Precious, are you there? I don't think Precious is close. Anyway, let me share my screen so I'll like kind of walk you guys through how mood boards are created typically. So let me know when you can see my screen. So when you are creating, okay, no problem. So when you are creating mood boards, obviously you take note of the competitors and the industry you're operating in, right? So you analyze the existing trends, the existing things that your rivals have, and find a way to differentiate it. So for you to create like a proper mood board, you need to cover things like typography. You need to understand things like, or need to put things into consideration like symbols or word marks with respect to your industry and all that. You also need to add things like your photography, your imagery. So your imagery covers photography patterns, right? You also need to consider something like the applications, and then you need to consider your colors. I don't know if does that make sense so far?
Yes, it does.
All right, so I'm going to show you guys like a mood board that I created on Pinterest. I use Pinterest a lot because it gives me like a wide range of unconventional inspiration. It's taking some time to load. Okay, I use Pinterest for a lot of things, so forgive me for having a lot of mood boards. Let's go through. Okay. Hmm. Okay, let's do Annette. So for Annette, it's still loading. So for Annette, it's actually Annette's Cuisine. So Annette is a baker, right? And the way her brand is very funky, very lively, and I wanted it to have like some sort of personality around it. So I wanted to create like a word mark and then a mascot for it. So if you notice, you can see a lot of illustrations here. And you can see a lot of very bold fonts, very funky looking things, right? So in this case, I focused more on specifically I also focused on logo design instead of the applications per se. The applications are very few, but I didn't go in depth with respect to the imagery because I wanted it to be an illustration focused brand. So here you can notice like the illustrations here and the style, right? So I'm putting things that are in relation to the brand identity or the final outcome or things that I want things the brand or the logo design to look like. So you can see this with the various variations, the mascots. You can even notice a pattern with respect to the logo, sorry, the word mark rather. So you can see very cursive text that is very bold. Do you get? And I'm building an entire visual reference to it. And what Pinterest does for me that I like very much is that with respect to what you've already created, they suggest things for you. So you can see they actually suggested like all these other mascots here. So that's the entire thing with this one. So let me see if I can show you guys what I don't know. You guys can still see my screen, Abby. Lovett, you want to say something? Yeah.
Sorry to ask, sorry to cut you short. So you basically create your mood board on Pinterest. Like
Yeah.
you be adding on the mood board on Pinterest.
Yeah.
Like any picture you feel like is related to what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So sometimes the images or references might be a little bit too much. So when I create like maybe 25 pins, I can actually reduce it maybe on Photoshop, not Photoshop, on Illustrator. I can reduce it to maybe like 4, 3, not 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, into 9 pins as opposed to being like 25. I'll just pick the top 9 and then I'll just add it there. So I want to show you guys what Annette's Cuisine looks like. I hope it's on August. August. Let's see. Give me a sec. Annette's Cuisine, yeah. Okay. So this was what I created for Annette's Cuisine. So you notice that funky feeling that you see here. So I drew inspiration from this mood board to create this. I can see the characters around. So if I showing the client this that mood board, they already get a sense of what the final expectation is going to look like. Do you get? So that's the main aim, one of the main aims of creating mood boards. It gives like yourself and the client a visual reference for what the final outcome is going to be. So that's one way to go about it. So I created like these random characters for it and all this what they call it. You need to say something. I didn't get that.
I want to ask a question.
Yeah, go on. Please, can I ask your question? Okay, Richard. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
go on.
wanted.
Yeah, go on.
So I said, where you were creating this thing is a
Pinterest.
Pinterest, right? Then if you want to send it to your clients, how do you export that? or is it maybe after you are done with your Pinterest, you can now share your.
I didn't get. Okay, so if I heard what you're trying to ask me, right? After creating my Pinterest board, how do I share it to the clients? Is that what you're asking? Okay, Richard, you can ask your question. I think
I don't know. How do you share the stuff to the client so that they can see what they will narrow their mind down to what you are showing them? Can you hear me?
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me perfectly?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so okay. Okay, hopefully you can hear me probably when you watch the video again. I think this session is being recorded, so you would do this thing. You just watch the video. But answering your question, right? So when I'm done creating like Pinterest board, I'm obviously going to like probably create a should I say a summarized or very reduced version of this mood board. Like I was explaining, having like 9 pins as opposed to having like 25. So I reduce it to 9 pins that which covers the color, forms, typography, application, imagery, right? It covers everything. And then creating that those 9 pins and then attaching it to a document and sending to the client just to make sure that everybody is in the loop. So that was the next thing I was going to talk about. So this is like a typical document I sent off to the client. So this summarizes all our conversations to make sure that everybody's in the loop, right? So you have like this was like a brand I did for Dado. So Dado Foods explaining what the conversation we had, which was just what they're trying to achieve, their goals, challenges, insights, and the brand strategy, right? If I feel that I want them to go for a very cool vibe. I want them to have like consistent look, tone, and messaging. All this analysis comes here, so they're informed about every single thing I'm going to do. Then the deliverables. So logo redesign, brand color palettes. This is just documentation, so everybody is on the same page. Then mood board. So for the mood board, this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like, right? So from the look, the forms, imagery, applications for social media and all that. So I also explain this thing using words because visuals are subjective. I have a certain experience with respect to every single information I have or every single knowledge I have over the years. So I'm going to understand things in a particular way. So it's very important when you're sending in these documents, you actually explain what you mean by every single thing. So colors, I explained that it looks like so and so brand that they mentioned during our conversation, and this was the thought process behind choosing these colors for this mood board. Remember, I'm trying to bring the clients up to speed with what I'm trying to do. It's a collaborative approach, and just them looking at these pins to make sense to them. So I add words to visuals, and then explain typography, explain the photography, patterns and illustrations, brand voice. Do you get? So this just explains but this is like very first document I'm sending out to them. Remember, I haven't gone into the final one. These are all the things you need to do prior to the final presentation in the process. Eunice, I don't know if you got that.
Yes, I got what you said.
All right. Cool. So Eunice, love it. I think Eunice will go first and love it. Okay, Eunice, I've already answered your question. Richard.
Okay.
So Richard, then love it next.
Okay. So
Yes, yeah.
you
Thank you.
hello?
Yeah, Richard. Yeah, go on. I'm listening.
Okay, you said you use Pinterest to create your mood boards. Is there like can I like use any other thing to create my mood board aside from Pinterest? Because I am still new to creating mood boards and I am still very confused as to how to go about it and which software to use and how to arrange my mood board. You get so aside from Pinterest, is there any other thing I can use?
Okay, you can use Milanote. Milanote is very nice. Let me show you how Milanote works. I'll probably send
Melanote.
the tutorial on Milanote, yeah.
Like
I'll share this thing.
Maileru
So
note.
you can see I'm sure you can see my screen.
Yes, I can.
M-I-L-A, M-I-L-A, then notes.
Okay,
.com.
MILA note.
Yeah, yeah, Milanote.com. So it helps you like organize your creative projects. So let me show you how it works. So maybe you create like an empty board. Although I'll send you guys there on how to use these apps. I'll send resources
Okay.
to the facilitators. So let's say we are working on S and S. So I name my board as S and S. And what I'm going to do here is just drag in my visual references. So I'm going to Pinterest now. So I can maybe copy this image. So copy image here, and I press Ctrl V. So when I press Ctrl V, just like a copy and pasting,
Okay.
this is already here. So you can do the same thing. Just drag things that are relevant to the mood board, and you can even leave notes. So I've dragged in a note here. What is this now? So I can okay. So now I have this note here. I can actually like type. So cursive text to blah 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 blah, whatever. Just explain what this is, right? But make sure that everything is arranged so it makes sense to the client. Remember, this is like a collaborative process. You're not just this is not for your eyes only. It starts off as maybe for your eyes only, but obviously when you're going to share it to the client, they need to understand what you're doing. So arrange your mood board very well so it makes sense. I'll send you guys a YouTube channel to watch for understanding Milanote. So you do all these things and create your mood board. You can create your mood board on Milanote, you can create your mood board on Playbook, you can create your mood board on Illustrator, you can create your mood board on somewhere like say Google Docs. I've done it on Google Docs before. You can even create some pitch.com. There's a lot of ways to go about it. But I'll share all these resources. But the most important thing is that you're adding all these visual references and adding an explanation to them to be shared to the clients, right? You can send it to the client, set up a call, explain to them what these mood boards are. Does that make sense?
Okay. Sorry, another question I have is your mood board, when you showed it to us, I saw illustrations on it for the Annette's cuisines.
Yeah.
Should I, if I'm creating a mood board for a client, is it a must I have illustrations on it, or it could just be visual representations?
So it depends on what you're creating, on what your strategy is, right? So for some brands, you might find out that the most important thing with respect to the conversation you guys had from the onset, that the best way to go about it is for them to have more photography related things for the imagery, as opposed to having like should I say the patterns, illustrations. It should just be more photography, right? And then you go with that. But in the case of Annette's Cuisine, it's like a pastry thing going on, and I wanted it to have this funky, playful vibe to it. Photography will not do so much for me, so I decided to create illustrations and characters to express the brand very well, and that was the main reason why.
Okay.
Yeah, but in some cases, sometimes illustrations and photography will come to play, so you can use both.
So after I've given them the mood board and we've had the whole conversation, then I can proceed to designing the logo.
Yeah, well, most times. So when you're like I showed you guys previously, I showed you guys this document that I created. I showed you guys this document I sent to Dado. Where is it now? Document. Okay. So I shared this document to them. right? So showing them the mood board is just to get an approval that okay, this mood board and every single information is in line with the discussions we had, and they agree with the direction that I'm going with. So what this does for you is that everybody's on the same page, and then you can focus on doing this thing, creating your designs or the logo based off of this agreed direction. And most times, this mood board, I can create like 2-3 mood boards for the client to choose from. So one could have maybe more of illustrations. That's why I think of the brand. And then the other one, I'm thinking more of photography, and I'm thinking about something more corporate. And then for the other one, could be like a mix of both. Do you get? So giving them a variety of directions for them to choose from. And then when they choose anyone, I'll now double down and channel all my energy into creating ideas based off of that mood board, as opposed to just shooting blindly.
Oh, okay.
You get what I mean by doing that? Because
Yes,
most clients will just tell you, oh, create a logo for me, right? But
yes.
when you break down these things for them, create a mood board, document it, and now tell them, oh, I've sent in 2 or 3 mood boards. I'm sorry about that, love it. Probably this thing, you listen to the recording later. Apologies for that. So when you actually narrow down your mood boards into these different directions, you now help the clients make a decision, an informed decision about what they want, and even helps you as a designer, so you save time. You're not just doing anything and hoping that it works. You know that everybody has agreed on this, and then you narrow down and put in your energy into creating something that works. You get? That's the
Okay.
relevance of mood boards at this point.
Okay. I
Yeah.
get now.
All right. Any questions so far? Any other person?
So my question is, the slides you showed us, those slides you showed that you sent to your clients before you start doing the logo. Please, I want to know, what do you use? What app do you use to create the slide?
Okay, so for this one, I just use Google Doc. It was easier for me. You can actually do this, actually design this, but I just use Google Docs at this point because it was faster for me. I was working on this thing like crunch time work. I also use like Google Docs, created this image, added it, then explained what was going on there. You can do this on maybe pitch.com. Let me show you guys what pitch.com is like. Just helps you make design decks to this pitch.com.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right. Any other questions so I can proceed? This is pitch.com. And check it out. So decks, breakdowns, brand, everything. So any other questions so far, so you can proceed? Okay, so I guess we are good to go. So after creating after you have the meeting and the client decides on the mood board direction that they're going with, you now go over to creating the main designs, right, of the mood board that they chose. So you do your sketches. Always try as much as possible to sketch. Most times your sketches don't need to look very nice. You just need to get your ideas down on paper, right, and then refine them on this thing, the digital platforms or digital softwares that you have. Specifically, use vector-based softwares. A very good vector-based software for you to use, or an industry standard vector-based software that you should use, is Illustrator. Everybody knows Adobe Illustrator, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let me just open Illustrator just in case. Yeah. So this is Illustrator. This is Adobe Illustrator. So use this for creating like your logos and refining those ideas that you have. These are a couple of logos that I've worked on. This was for Gulf Signal. So I use this to create the logos. So the main reason why you use this vector-based softwares is because when you zoom in, it doesn't pixelate. But it's still very sharp. I think we should zoom in now. Okay. Even when I zoom in very well, it's not pixelated. There are shapes. But if you use something like Photoshop to make your design, when you continue zooming in, you can now notice that you can actually see those small blocks of data on the grid, which is very bad because when you export it, it will lose.
Please,
It
I
doesn't.
can't see your screen. I can't see your screen. Oh.
I don't know. Can any other person not see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Okay, I think maybe it's from your own and Eunice. So we are using Illustrator specifically because it doesn't pixelate. So vector based. Vector is like how do I explain this now? Just think about vector that it doesn't lose its quality when you zoom in. So use vector based software like Illustrator. That's the industry standard. You can use Illustrator, you can use CorelDRAW. But for me, Illustrator anytime, any day. I'm used to using Adobe products. So use your Illustrator to refine your design, right? And then when you come up with your variations, depending on whatever agreements I have with the clients, most times it's very nice for you to create like 2 or 3 variations. So they have choices at this point, although they get to a point where you can actually present one to them. But in a case where you're a freelancer, I can say, okay, the way I'm going to approach this design is I'm going to give the client one in my package, this particular package I'm putting a price of 50K, 5K. I'm giving the client just one option. Then if they are going to pay a certain amount, I'll give you guys 3 options. It's just negotiation for freelance, right? Or most times for brand design agencies, like when you're working with a team, because you're going to be working with different people and they're going to have different perspectives with how the product, not product, the logo design is going to be, they'll come up with different ideas. So you pick the best ideas, right, and then present to the clients. And a good rule of thumb for you guys to actually pay attention to use is that if in a case you are going to be presenting more than one logo design to the client, always make sure that, sorry about that sound. So at each point when you're creating that logo design or the one you're presenting to the client, make sure that you're presenting the very best ones, that you don't have a problem. Sorry about that. Again, apologies. I don't know what's wrong with my neighbors today. Anyway, so you are making sure that you are presenting the best logo designs that you definitely want the clients to use in the end. Because if you create logos that maybe you create like 2 that are very nice, I now add a 3rd one, chances is that the client might just pick that one that you don't like, and it becomes a problem because that's not your best work and it's not going to be suitable for the brand. Are you guys following?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So the 3 or 2 or even the one that are going to present to them, make sure that it's the one that you're very comfortable. Any of the choices that they make, they are very it's very okay with you and it fits the brand. So in the case of Golf Signal, I made these 3 logos. So I don't know if you guys can. So this is the first one. So this is the first one that I created. They ended up choosing this first one actually. This is the first one. And then this is the second one that I created for them. Yeah, this is the second one. And then this is the 3rd one that I created for them. I did have a problem with them choosing and using for their brand. So very pay attention to these things. Don't just give them any random thing because you don't have so many ideas. So pick your best 3, pick your best 2, pick your best one and present it to the client. So I can't, because of time, I can't start going in depth with respect to okay, this is how you choose typography, this is how you choose your colors, but I'll send in resources for you guys to actually understand these things, or maybe later you guys can reach out and we can talk more about it. Eunice? Eunice, do you want to ask a question? Yeah, go on.
Yes.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry, it's a
So like I
mistake.
said, I'll
Sorry.
send videos, or you guys can reach out to me so I can, if you have questions with respect to how you go about your typography, your colors, but I'll send resources on that. I just want to dive straight into the presentation part. So if you notice throughout our conversation, I didn't bring up I didn't go into presentation in depth. I was talking more about the conceptualization from moving from abstract to creating something. So on the presentation document or the presentation day, you have to pay attention to three things, or the main, or you have to define, or how do I put this now? So on the presentation day, the idea is for you to go over the things that progress you guys have made so far, the challenges that you wanted to solve with the logo design or the brand identity design that you created for them, the expectations everybody had, then kind of like refreshing everybody's memory, then going into your presentation proper. Like I said, this is a collaborative effort. It's just like a talking stage, and then if we are done with the talking stage, that's what we did with you doing, you empathizing, and now this is you guys trying to build a relationship and trying to make it official. That's what you are doing on this part, and saying, "Oh, will it be my boyfriend? Will it be my girlfriend?" Although Nigerian women will never ask a man out, but that's something else. But you get my point. This is the part where you now ask them out, like doing your presentation. So things that you want to do with your presentation is identify the why and the who and the what. So why do you want to create why are you creating this presentation? One is to create a lasting impression of yourself, your brand, and then the brand identity that you created for the client. And also, the most important one in the end is to persuade the client to make a choice for the logo design or the brand identity design that you created for them. Are you guys following?
Yes.
Yeah. Then for the who question is, who are you presenting to? So who are the stakeholders that are going to be presenting to? Remember at the start, I mentioned something about the person that has the final say, and people that, like, the stakeholders or people that have a say in the final decision. So you need to understand, okay, who am I presenting to? Who am I going to? Who am I convincing at this particular point for them to buy into this logo design or identity that I created for this brand? So identifying the stakeholders, you probably have like a product manager there, you could have like a product owner there. So you need to identify these people, identify their background, so you know how to should I say, sell it to them. The same way the way you sell to a designer is not the same way you sell to a business person. And it's definitely not the same way you sell to a traditional leader or something, maybe like a chief or something. There are different ways you approach the presentation by having an understanding of who you are presenting. So this is just general presentation tips and tricks. So understand who you are presenting to. And then the what is which software. That's what software are you going to be using to do your presentation. So you can create your presentations on Figma, you can create your presentation on Adobe InDesign, you can create your presentation on Illustrator, and then you can create your presentations on Pitch. I've showed you guys Pitch, right? You guys remember Pitch?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is Pitch.
Yes.
Let me
Yes. Yes.
log in. Mhm. So this is Pitch. These are a couple of presentations that I've actually created. This one was when I talked about composition and framing for photography. This was for human-centered design, and then this was for one crypto conversation I had with someone. So it was a presentation. So you can actually create these sort of presentations on Pitch. They have templates already. So you have like 100 templates. So you can choose. There's a sales. So there's a sales page. These are templates that they're very created. So you have sales, pitch decks, product launch. You have a mood board. So this is what. Let me see. Let me show you guys what. So this is what the mood board looks like. So I was already classified it for you, so you can present your mood board like this. The only thing you have to do is just customize it to your taste and your brand and all that. So you can do it with this. There are a lot of templates here. Just customize it and then move on. So you choose between that or actually creating it from scratch. Most times I create it from scratch, but I might just add piece to my workflow. All these things just depends on your time and maybe how complex the project is. So you can, or how complex the project is. So you decide, okay, do you want to make it very custom or do you want to just use something that's kind of generic but still has a little personality? Then you guys have been following so far, right?
Yes.
All right. So then after you make all these decisions from the start, so the why, who, and what, you now set the goals of the main goals for your presentation, right? There are two main goals for your presentation, which is what for you to usually to verbally convince or okay, let me put it this way. So goals for the presentation is for you to verbally should I say present in a case where you're going to be presenting this document. So verbally you're running the clients or the stakeholders through the process and then the final deliverables, which is the different brand identities that you created for them, and then the documentation, because in the end you definitely send it to them for them to like take a second look, because you can't see a logo immediately. Yeah, sometimes you can see a logo design or a brand identity and you don't like it immediately, so it has to grow on you. You obviously send this documentation to them and give them some time to actually look at the document and then make their final decision. So consider two things while you're creating it. So first of all, you're going to be presenting it. So it has to be very simple and has to look good. And but then again, you need to document it very well. So even when you're not there, the clients can still make sense of whatever that you created. Are you guys good on that end? You guys get that? All right. So at the
Yes.
start of the document, you want to do like setting the context for the presentation. So you need to recap or align on what's what maybe the abstract part of it, that's the empathizing part of it. So what was the conversation that you guys had? What were you guys trying to achieve with the engagement that you guys had with creating the brand identity directions? What were the relevant expectations? And then you talk to them about the showcase. It's basically like, think about it like you're um setting the context, like I said, you're setting the context for what every single thing that you're supposed to expect from the presentation. So one is alignment. You guys are going to align on every single thing that you've done so far prior to the final presentation document or presentation day. You guys are there's going to be like a showcase. A showcase is you showing them like the various brand identities, the ideas behind them, the applications, right? And then you're obviously going to educate them about these brand identities, what makes them relevant, what makes them the very best option for their business, for the creative side and then the business side of things. And then you're now going to have like a Q&A session. So a Q&A session is basically a lot to, okay, what are the concerns that they have? Do they have any questions? Do they any clarity on what you presented so far? What are their thoughts? So this gives you structure on how to proceed with your presentation. Do you get? Are you guys following? You're not just sending in like a screenshots like you talked about. I think who said that thing? I think it was Lovett at the start. She said she just sent like screenshots. But now, right now, we are thinking about an intentional approach to your presentation. You need to set the context and a flow for the presentation. Are we all on the same page? If you have any questions at this point, please ask. We good? Yeah, Precious, you have something to say? Precious, raise your hand. Okay, I'm going to assume that was a mistake. So, at the start, you're talking about the alignment. So you are telling them, oh, this was what the challenge was. This was the goal of the brand identity project. This is what you explain to them that, oh, this is what a logo is. You know, all those abstract things, trying to make them understand um what they call it. You're trying to make them understand what you are trying to achieve at this point. Do you get? Because, like I said before, most of the time you're not going to be interacting with people that are very savvy with respect to the design, how design works, and how brand identities work. So you explain to them, oh, this is what a brand identity does. This is why it's very relevant. Same thing like I did in this conversation that we're having, trying to explain to the client, oh, this is why this is this way. This is why this is that way. So everybody's on the same page. And when you're done with this introduction, you now start talking about the main brand identity so far, right? So you have presentation one, which is the very first option. So you came up with this concept. You can tell them, oh, this concept is this. This is what this represents. This is what this represents, right? That's one part of it. The way you see as a designer, when you look at a logo, you can, because you've probably gotten used to the references that you're seeing, how applications work. When you look at the logo, you're thinking about the applications. But for the clients, they want to see, because they are not like you, they don't think like you need to give them context as to what that logo is. That's where those applications come in. I think it was Eunice that was talking about you creating mockups on Photoshop. So here, you now create mockups with the logo that you created to give context to of usage for that particular logo. You don't, for any reason, like this is a no-no, never send just the logo or put just the logo for your presentation. Always add context to what to the usage of this logo. Let me show you what context could look like, what I mean by context. Downloads. Okay. So I'll show you guys the one for, oh, is my God signal around here? Okay. Previous 30 days. That's weird. Give me a second and find the God signal. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So this one is not the presentation, it's actually a brand guide. But let me show you what the applications look like. You guys can actually see my screen, right?
Yes.
All right, so these are like applications for the logo. So this is a billboard, obviously. So when they see things like this, it makes sense to them. So they can see, oh, this guy actually used the symbols, create an overlay here. This is how the messaging should be. So when they say enhancing good governance and fostering well-represented communities, so this talks about like this is like an inclusivity thing, and it's motivational. So it gives them context as to the brand usage. So this is for ID cards. Do you get? They can visualize these things as opposed to you just sending let me see that. What is that? Yeah, as opposed to you sending just like a logo and telling them that that's it. But you see what I did here? I'm putting the logo and I'm using, I said before, you have to actually use your words and visuals to sell this thing to the client. So I'm using words to actually explain what this logo is. And I'm still going to do my presentation and make explanations. But then I'm documenting every single thing. So using words to amplify the images. It's consistent throughout this brand design, the brand guideline. Yeah, you do the same thing for presentations too. So even for photography and writing things down and explaining why I did what. When people see these things or when I see things like this, it actually says, okay, this person actually put in thought into this. This was delivered intentionally, and it actually speaks well of the services that you provide. It sets you apart from every single designer. So provide context for every single thing and explain things using the visuals and then the words. So these are like our privacy applications. So Favicon, App Icon. if you notice, for here, because this is like a digital product, right? I thought about the context of usage. So they are going to have a website, they are going to have a mobile app, they are going to have like social media usage. So that's why I created like this this thing, this page, this Instagram page thing, so they can actually see what their DP is going to look like. Just giving them insight as to what the final application is going to look like. Then they are always going to print merch. So you have the tote bags, and then you have like a billboard for messaging, right? So your mock-up should have this, so should have context. You shouldn't just be like, oh, we are creating a mock-up, I'll put in a pen there, I'll put in a stationery. No, is it relevant to whatever you are creating? In a case of something like let's say S&S now. So S&S is going to be majorly, okay, Favor, go on. Yeah, Favor, you can ask a question. Favor just left. Do you get any, does anybody have any question? Wait for Favor to come back. Okay. I'm going to assume that nobody has any question. Is that okay? Are we good to go? Like, any questions so far? Okay. So, are you guys there? I don't know, nobody's saying anything. Okay. So you are using, so like I said, you are going to obviously say, okay, this is what your logo is. If you feel, always pay attention to the fact that there's not like a one way to do it, but make sure every single thing that is relevant for you to sell that logo or brand identity is being included in your presentation. Sometimes presentation documents could be a lot, but try as much as possible, simplify it and put the most relevant things. And how you're going to tell if it's relevant or not is actually paying attention to the who, the who and the what. So who are you presenting this to, right? And what are the expectations, right? So like the words that I said is what you want to create a lasting impression. Does that this particular slide I'm putting, is it going to create a lasting impression for my presentation? And also, is it going to persuade the clients to choose whatever the options that I'm giving them? You guys got that right? All right, so Favor, yeah. Okay, I wanted to ask something. Let's say something.
No, I don't.
Okay. So Favor, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, good evening. For the imagery, when it comes to like presenting your idea for like the branding stuff and all, for the imagery, like how is it? I don't understand how. Like, how do you know the kind of images to use?
Okay.
Or you just go put any image and just describe what
Yeah.
the brand relates to the image, or
No. So at the start, I explained the empathy phase of the process. So here you are trying to understand what makes the brand tick, what are the most important things to the brand, what are the brand attributes. So at this point, when you have these conversations and when you ask certain questions, you might find out that okay, the brand attributes that are that are directly related to the brand could be that, oh, they are very happy people, they are very youthful people. In the case of S&S that Richard talked about, they hire more of the target audience is the youth on the youthful side, right? So you can say that you can have the imagery focused on the youth. So very young people, maybe between the ages of 18 to like 30, 25. No, 30 they're already old, they are gone. Anyway, so 18 to say 25, 28, that sort of images that are going to be seen. And then because S&S is trying to make food accessible to everybody, you can say, okay, you can find images that actually resonates with the adjective attributes, which has to do with inclusivity, Yeah, inclusivity is one of them. Flexibility, all those things. So these different attributes can come to play for you to create your photography or imagery direction. It's not just you go ahead with it. No, you actually have to take it into consideration. But let me show you typically what it looks like. Let me open Golf Signal again so you understand what I'm saying. Because I actually explained the photography direction. Okay. So this is Golf Signal again. This is my most recent project. I think last time planning project I did. So here I explained that we use humans to portray the goal of Golf Signal. So photography captures genuine moments from a diverse range of individuals, showcasing the spirit of community and authenticity. Moving on, so you have inclusive visuals. So when you talk about inclusive visuals, you think about because Golf Signal is an international community, and inclusive visuals in this case means like a combination of the black, whites, Asian race, everybody is included. If you notice the imagery here or the photography here, you can see a white man, you can see a black man, and everybody just looks like they're one big happy family. When you're seeing the images here, you can see like a mix of white and black people. For some brands, they might just focus, people that they're targeting might be Africans and diaspora or just black people, or maybe they're just targeting children, right? So it's going to be out of place if their target audience are maybe adults or the old folk, and you're seeing pictures of children. It will not make any sense. So you have to define all these things. So it fits the target audience, then it fits the brand attributes. Does that make sense, Favor?
Yeah. So basically, the imagery has to do with the target audience.
Well, I didn't get that.
I say, so basically, the imagery part of like your presentation has to do with the target audience
Not just the target
and
audience.
somehow what the brand represents.
Yeah, both. Yeah. So what the brand represents, not somehow what the brand represents, and then the target audience. There has to be like a synergy between this thing, between both parties.
Okay.
But for the case of Golf Signal, it's heavily because it's like a people cost what they call it, golf tech or something. I can't remember what industry they call it. So it's like golf tech. Let me just assume that it's golf tech. I can't remember the exact terminology. So you have like a lot of interactions between people, right? But in the case of these guys, Dado talks about or focuses on people and focuses on their product, on foods. So let me show you what the imagery for Dado looks like. So this is the imagery for or the photography for Dado. So you have the people, then you have like the foods, and then people interacting and all that, and also their what's the word? Their riders and all that. It's just about you understanding. Like I said, it's very important that you do the empathize phases where you understand the clients very well, understand their pain points, what you're trying to achieve, all the challenges, all those things. You need to understand it very well before you start doing all these things. So to make sense, you're doing the work very well at the start by defining every touch point, your goal, all those things. If you design it, if you define it from the onset and everybody is on the same page, it's going to be very easy for you to deliver the project easier or easily. Does that answer your question, Favor?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So you do the same thing with your photography, all those different touch points that are very relevant for you to persuade the clients to buy into your brand identity, your logo design. You add them to your document. And in a case where you have like more than one brand identity, you can decide to create separate documents or just do the same. I think same documents would be the best. And you say, okay, for this is the first concept. These are all the things that are relevant. I'm talking about the colors, why I chose these colors, why I chose this typography, why I chose this layout, all those things that specific to that particular direction that you chose if you feel it's relevant. And then you go over to the next one. You shouldn't be doing mix and match. No. Present everything as everything in isolation. So one brand identity or one logo design, then you move over to the second one, over to the third one or fourth one. But it's best to keep it to 2 or 3 if you are going to give them options. Then at the end of the document can actually show the three options side by side. So it's easier for them to make a choice while comparing them on one slide or one page. right? So at the end of the this thing, at the end of the presentation, right, you can now say, okay, so far this is what you've been able to come up with, and then what do they have any questions or clarification? Do you get? Don't rush into telling them, oh, what option do they like? Don't ask them that question. So always give them room to actually take some time and take in the presentation that you did, and then give you an answer. Don't rush them at this point. So you're done doing your presentation. I know some people say love at first sight exists. No problem. Some people act that way, and then some people actually need some time to ease into whatever perception they have about someone before they can actually say, okay, I actually love this person, I actually don't love this person. I keep making reference to human interactions or human relationships with respect to brand identities and branding, because low-key, that's what it is. It feels like a relationship. You get it from talking stage to actually making this person part of your life. In this case, you are making that brand identity a relevant touch point. Sorry, you're making the logo a relevant touch point for your brand, and as such, it needs to be something that you resonate with. It needs to be something that you're very passionate with, and it identifies very well with what you're trying to achieve with your brand. I don't know if you guys get that analogy, but yeah. So at this point, you can literally tell them, okay, you know that this might be a lot for them to grasp, but you suggest maybe they should take so and so time to actually take their time. You can tell them to take their time to take a look at this document and then give you feedback within a stipulated period. So this gives them the chance, like I said, to take in the design, the presentation that you did, and make a well-informed decision, because what you've brought them, you're giving them like, let's start a presentation, you explain to them the relevance of what you are doing, the conversations you guys have had in the past, and how you guys got to that particular point that you guys in. You've showcased the brand identities that you create for them, or the logo designs you've created for them, and then you've done your conclusion, and then giving them the chance to make their decision. No rush. Everything feels like as if you held their hand throughout the entire process. And that's something peculiar about branding and creating brand identities. Most times, designers just go in, just dive in head first, and just create something and then move on without bringing the clients on board. For you to create or make a successful presentation, it's very important that it feels like more of a collaborative process, and the client feels like they are part of the process, as opposed to being totally alienated from the entire presentation, the entire project. Keep them informed at each point. Explain to them, oh, this is what I'm doing at this point. This is where you come in. These are conversations we have. I need this for clarity. What I'm doing. Okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? Once they feel included, or once they feel like, okay, this person understands my business, this person finds my business really relevant, because you should actually feel like you care a lot about these people. So when you do that, it will be easier for you to sell a logo to them. Are you guys following? Okay. So yeah, with that, basically, that's like the basis of how logo presentations are done. So just to recap, first off, you are following the design thinking process. You don't just dive in head first to start creating a presentation. You have to first of all, understand, do your empathy, create a document, have the conversations to understand the brand, basically. Like I explained, there are 3 phases to this. So the empathize phase. So you're empathizing with the clients, understanding their business, understanding the purpose, all those questions that have to do with you getting insights for the task at hand, right? And then you are synthesizing them and defining, oh, these are the challenges, these are the things I'm trying to solve. This is like a strategy that you think would work for the brand, right? And then the next phase is what? The ideation phase. Empathize them. The problem side is the one I talked about previously. So where you actually say, oh, this is the strategy that I'm creating for this, because these are the problems that the brand or the project is facing, and this is how I'm going to do. These are the definitions for it, and you are defining the problem and the pain points at that point, right? Then after that, you are going to the ideation. So this is where you create your mood board. That's like a visual reference to the direction or the strategy, and also you are creating a document that explains this mood board, and we are obviously having a lot of meetings to explain these things to the client. And after that, you create, when the client makes a decision on the mood board or the direction that they feel fits the brand, you now go into creating the sketching and creating something off that mood board that they choose. And then you now refine them on your digital software, specifically Illustrator in this case, because it's a vector-based software. And then when you're done with that, you can create your mockups, obviously. Like I said, I'll still share resources on how to create logos, things you need to pay attention to. I didn't go into deep details, but yeah, you do that. Create typography that is very nice, all those things that will make the logo balanced and look so nice. Then after that, you're now going to the phase 3 of it, right? The phase 3 is where you actually do your presentation. So you define the who, what, and why. So on the why side of things, you are trying to, while you're creating the presentation, is to create a lasting impression of your brand and then the work that you actually created, right? And then the second one, very important, is actually to persuade the client to choose your logo or the logo designs that you created. And the who is for you to identify the stakeholders who are going to be in the meeting and find a way to tailor their presentation to them so they understand what you are trying to do. And this also helps you structure your presentation so that it makes sense to whoever that is going to be in your meeting or whoever is going to have access to your document. And then setting the goals for your presentation, what you're trying to achieve. Then also breaking down your presentation into the abstract part of it. So the abstract is basically you're talking about the challenges, the goals, all those things that you guys were doing from the onset, defining them, telling them about how logos work or how identities work. So they understand what you are trying to achieve by whatever deliverable that you're showing to them. Then you are doing a showcase. So you are showcasing the brand identities with their mock-ups, typography, every single thing that is relevant. I feel that is relevant to convince or persuade the client to use that logo identity. And then you're also educating them on how these things work or how the logo identities are going to work. And then finally, you have a Q&A if they have specific questions to what you just presented to them. And then you now give them room or time to actually take this in and then give you a feedback on the logo design or the brand identity direction that they prefer. And then you can now start doing your offboarding parts of it, which is another totally different thing on its own. It's like phase 4, right? And key things for you to remember is that for your presentation, you are using two things. So you're using visuals and you're using words to sell your logo. It's not just you sending a visual reference or sending something like the visual side of things. You're going to use words to paint a picture that supplements the message that you're sending or the message that will support the design or visual thing that you created, right? And it's very important for you to put for the mockups to create the mockups that with respect to the context of usage. If it doesn't apply to the brand in any way, if it doesn't add to the brand in any way, there's no need to add it. Some brands are probably more of their mockups are going to be on fiscal, should I say, also fiscal touch points or applications, and some are going to more on the digital end. So choose the best ones or the one that fits the context and then go with that, right? And then I think basically that's just in summary. Any questions so far before like I try to summarize everything? Yeah, I love it.
None for now.
Okay.
So I want to ask a question. I understood everything you said, but I want you to show us an actual, like for instance, the one you did from the beginning to the end, an actual logo presentation. I don't know if I'm going.
No, you're not going out. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm guessing you guys can see my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the one I did for Dado, right? So why let me scroll down. So it looks different from this is like one of the directions that I created for them, where I talked about the logo proper. I talked about I showed them the colors, various variations where the logo would exist, different colors. I talked about the colors, I talked about typography, then I showed them applications, right? So for this case, because I kept having conversations with them about the abstract, we're in very close conversations about every single thing that was happening. I didn't actually go over that abstract again. Do you get? Because everybody was in the loop from the onset. So because of time, I just finished the brand identity, and they obviously had they were tech savvy people. They are used to design presentations, so there was no need, because I understood that there was no need for me to start explaining, oh, this is why I did branding, this was this. No, no, no. All those conversations I had prior, and I found out that they are very informed people. Do you get? So I just focused on delivering my brand identity options to them in the end. Although I think I showed you guys the mood board proposal document that I shared to them. So for here now, I started off with the concept statements, right? So the concept statement was delivering perfect combos, partners in flavor and happiness. That was like the basic concept statement for the new rebrand, or the rebrand I was doing, because they've actually rebranded them Dado Food. Then the logo proper. So I talked about the logo, every single detail, the happy face thing and the wink going on, explain the magic around it. And then I showed the logo in the various colors. So this is like the main color. This is like a secondary color. Though some of the colors were changed when we were talking. Various color variations. Then I talked about the colors and how it resonates with the brand and how I came about them. Do you get? Then talked about the typography, why I chose the typography. This is the direction I went for typography, and how I made it very unique with respect to the brand attributes and the conversations we had from the onset. Remember, empathy at the start, and then application. So social media design, that's a very strong touch point that they had. This one is for their, I think, for their riders. So they have this bag. So Favicon for their websites. Then this is for their meal packs, and then their billboard, and that's it. I created like 3 separate documents for them. I didn't put everything in one document because I just wanted them to look at it in isolation, which was just a personal decision. I don't know where the other ones are. I don't know where I kept the other documents, but they're supposed to be like 3 documents. Let me see if I can find one for Signal. Okay, yeah, Signal here. So this is Gulf Signal. So I created something as the other one because I was in close conversations with them. So I explained this, show them the color variations. This was because for Gulf Signal was going to have like different counties. So they're going to have like different branches. So their main head office in London, then they can expand to like New York, Melbourne, all these other cities. So I explained how this one works, the colors, then moved out to mockups. At that point, I hadn't figured out the typography because of time, so I didn't put it, right? But I mentioned it in when we were having when I was in the presentation, that the typography is already in the works, but this is what we have so far because of time. And yeah, basically that's actually this was first one. This is the second option I created for them. Eventually, they took the first one, sure. Second one, then this was the third one. If you notice, the entire idea behind everything, because they chose a particular mood board, the same concept statement was still the same thing. So it helped me narrow down my idea, and this was the concept statement for 3 of them. And that's what I did here. Then this was the mood board I created. This was first mood board, although there are 3 mood boards that I created. This was the first one. The other ones, I can't seem to find them. There's a document, which I can't find now, but yeah. So I don't know if that does the trick. Okay, yeah, this should be the document. Abi? Okay, no, it's not. Okay, it is. So this is the document. So outlining the goals, challenges, insights, deliverables, then mood board exploration. Mood board 2. I think they chose mood board 2, but it was a complete. They wanted a combination of mood board 2 and mood board 3. So that's what happened in this case.
Okay, like you said before, you use Google Doc for this your mood board presentation, right? So
Yeah.
the main presentation, like this where you added the mock-up and logo variation, what did you use to create the slides? Did you still use Google Doc? Google Doc?
No, I actually used Figma.
Alright.
I just had a template that I used. So I created a template. So I just edited it because of time. But it's just a matter of, like I said before, you just want everything to have like a particular sequence that needs to look consistent. Everything needs to look nice. So it's left for you to decide, but make sure that your presentations look nice. They are consistent. They have a very visual. They have a certain visual. Should I say direction to it? So if you don't have the luxury of time to actually create a document that is this good, or maybe a document that feels like this, you can actually use Pitch. Pitch already has existing templates that you can use. So it's just for you to like figure out how you want the flow to be. Sorry, I'm using some. So just for you to figure out the flow that you are using or the flow that you have for your presentation, and then editing these documents in Pitch too. You can change the colors, you can change the typography, everything. And then I also remembered, so if you have figured out your typography for the various identities or various presentations, in the case where, okay, for the identity or for the brand generally, right, you should actually add it or actually reflect that change in your presentation deck or slide. So if you are using a font like Inter for the brand, you can actually put it so it has when the person is looking at, or when you are doing your presentation, when people are looking at it visually, everything just feels like it's going to be on brand with the identity you created. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, I have
So
a final. Yeah.
done.
Where did you get your mock-ups?
So I get my mock-ups from Behance. Just have to search for the free ones. And I think some people post free stuff on Behance. So you can find like an external website that it takes you to. So you can try Behance. You can try On Blast. Those are free alternatives. So On Blast, Behance, that one, I think the free mock. Yeah, you can get someone free pick too. I don't know if there's free mock-ups. I can't remember that one. Let me see. Free mock-ups. For paid versions, you can actually get it on Envato Elements. So you can see On Blast, you can see free mock-up world, smart mock-ups, all these places. You can get mock-ups there. Mr. Mock-up, I've used some for Mr. Mock-ups.
All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any other question? Any other question? Let me know. So I can proceed.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, in the beginning you showed us the whole client questionnaire so that you can get an idea of what the client wants for their logo and brand identity. There are sometimes when I ask people what they want and they just give, even if I send them a questionnaire, they give vague answers like and just make it catchy, just make it fine. They just say all those kind of like vague language. And even if you try to tell them that, okay, like I need more from you, you send them, they don't end up like I've worked with some people, they don't even fill the questionnaire. They just say, see, I just trust you, you're the designer, you know what you're doing, just do something. So in situations like that, like have you ever come across it? And if you have, how were you able to like handle it? Because sometimes when you now do what is in your own mind, they end up not
Yeah.
liking it and start saying, oh, start all over again, or do this or do that.
Yeah. Okay. So when people say that, it's like you shooting yourself in the leg. Sometimes they tell you, oh, you're a designer, creative, go crazy. I'm giving you full creative control. Full creative control is a trap. Run away. You should have some sort of constraints when you are doing when you are designing or when you are creating all these projects for people. You should create some sort of constraints, or you should create a constraint for yourself depending on conversations you have with the client. So, like I said, most people are very lazy to actually fill those questionnaires. So, what you should do is when you notice that they are like, I say, oh, please, can they just get on a call with you? Like, this is why, explain to them the relevance of what you are trying to do. I tell them that this is very important for you guys to proceed with this thing, right? It's just about you getting them. When you get them on a call and you guys start talking, like I told you, people want to talk. Just find a way to get them on a call and then have that call. If taking notes, I think taking notes and having that conversation will be very hard. So maybe you record the call so you can reference it later, and then you can make your notes after. So get them on a call. That's why I'm very particular. That's something I started doing like over a year now. So instead of sending them, I'll send them the questionnaire, right? And tell them, oh, when can they get on the call with me for me to ask a couple of questions? Or even if they do this thing, when I send it, I'll tell them, oh, this is my process. When you have a process, it's going to be easier for you. You know you're not winging this. So my process, I explain to them that my process is this. I'll send in a questionnaire to you, but I'll need a follow-up call for us to like talk about the things that you filled. And if they don't have time for filling the questionnaire, we'll get on a call. Even if they say, oh, I'm not free, I'll tell them, oh, it's going to take 5 minutes. Because everybody keeps saying that they don't have time. But if when someone tells that they don't have time for something, that means they are not prioritizing that thing about particular points. So it's about you using your words and trying to convince them, tell them, oh, can they prioritize this within just 5 minutes? You just need 5 minutes of your time. Chances is that most of the time it's not going to be more than 5 minutes. But you just get them on that call and then start asking them those questions. A call is always important. A call is always going to be easier. And you get them on that call and you start asking them questions. And I think 9 out of 10 times it goes well by getting on a call with them as opposed to just sending a questionnaire. Just make it feel like make it really important. It's not like it should feel very important, but it is very important. Get them on a call and you guys should talk about those questions and you ask them those questions. Modupe, did you get that? Is it Modupe?
Yeah, I got that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is it Modupe or Modupe?
It's Modupe.
Yeah, I got it the first time. I don't sabi this Yoruba thing. Anyway, moving on. Yeah. So I think the tips I'll give you guys just to round off is first off, for you guys to get really, because I know we spent like over 2 hours talking about this thing and it might seem like a lot of information right now. But I want to urge you guys that just go over the videos, and if you have any questions, you can reach out to me, or I'll still share I'll just at the end I'll share a couple of resources that you guys could read to help you. But it's very important for you guys to like learn, right? Knowledge, in my opinion, knowledge is one of the greatest things. Being able to assimilate a lot of knowledge and applying them to your life is something that is very important for every single human being to master. So reviewing successful logo designs. So your favorite brand, you can do a deep dive and understand, oh, this was the process behind this. Do your research. This is the process behind this. We are the brand agencies that worked on it. This was how they came about it. When you keep reviewing good work, you will do good work. So review them intentionally. So you're not reviewing them because you're just reading a random magazine. Although subconsciously you start learning a couple of things there, but you're learning them, applying them, even try your hands on refining those logos. There was a time the exercise I do is that I review already existing top-notch logos that I like, and then I redesigned them, or I just redesigned them again. So something like MasterCard, there was this exercise I did one time where I created the MasterCard logo again, MTN, a couple of other brands. I just did an exercise. And I think, again, push yourself very far. I think it was last year when I did a 20 in 20 day challenge where I was designing logos every day for 20 days. So I asked people to send me brands, and then with the information and knowledge I've gathered over the years, specifically for corporates and corporate brands and brands that are in the food industry and all that, I started creating brand identities off suggestions that people were giving me. So I reviewed successful logos and then applied that learning into my own process. You guys can check out the videos I created and brand identities I created on my design page, SOS.design on Instagram. Then I already talk about analyzing, then highlighting your key takeaways and learning by applying yourself. Then also, I've already mentioned this one at the start. So don't share a logo that you wouldn't want the client to choose. Every logo that you should present to the client should be one that you're comfortable with the client making a choice and saying, okay, this is my final logo. Don't just add a logo because, oh, you tried and you're tired. No. Try as much, push yourself very far and get the best of the best to be chosen, right? Then identify the stakeholders that have the decision-making power for your projects, like I said before. Then understand and listen to the client during your talking stage. Don't just dive in head first and then make assumptions. Every single thing should be clear. And you can do this by asking all those, making those reported speeches. So when the client says something, you tell the client this is what you hear. Is that are you in line? And then they confirm. I'll share a couple of videos. I will refer you guys to a couple of resources you can check out. So those are the tips and tricks that I have. Then learn from your superiors. I think Start is doing a perfect job at creating this platform for you guys to learn. So big ups to them. And yeah, they should be your go-to guys when it comes to asking your questions or reaching out to get more knowledge about design and productivity and the business of design. So yeah. Then just to end, a couple of resources that I would recommend for you guys. Let me put them in the chat. I'll just do a copy and paste. I didn't put the websites, but hopefully this works. Give me a sec. Okay, got it. So yeah, so the very first, let's see. So the first, actually group them. So the very first three, I don't know, has it sent? Have you guys seen the message I sent on the chat, or is it still loading on your end? Okay, yeah, just sent it now. All right. So Designing Identities by Alina Wheeler. So it's a book that every single designer, in my own opinion, should read. So it explains to you the entire branding thing, the brand touch points, and how it works, right? From our own perspective, which is very groundbreaking, in my own opinion. I've read the book like twice. Then the creative act. So the creative act, the way of being, actually explains to you how you can approach creativity with a lot of passion and intentionality. I've read the book only once, but I need to read it again. Then Logo Design Love by David Airy is another great book for branding. So you guys should read that also. I think here, the guy actually explains how, like some of those questions that you can see on my questionnaire, how you can approach it and all that. Then Abikonik is a YouTuber. You guys can check out on YouTube. Will Patterson, another great brand and logo designer. Then myself. Yeah, you can check out, you can follow my page on SOS.design, and hopefully I start posting content again. But you guys can reference some of the work I've done, and maybe follow my personal page, u.ikeme, on Instagram for updates about things I do. And also you can connect on LinkedIn too. I'm always happy to see new faces or connect with new people. So Coach Ikeme on all socials. I think Coach Ikeme on LinkedIn, then Son of Stone or Ikeme on Twitter. 'Twitter' 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 Yeah, another YouTube page is The Future. I don't know if you guys know Chris Do, right? Yeah, so Chris Do's brand or his brand, so The Future Academy. So you can check that on YouTube. They also have a podcast. Then for references, where you can get like those visual references to case studies to read or inspiration, you can take a look at Pentagram. That's like, in my own opinion, number one brand design agency or branding agency in the world. So take a look at Pentagram, then rebrand.com also. Very great inspiration sources. So yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you guys, and I do hope to do this more often with you guys. So yeah, thanks so
Yeah.
much.
Thank you so much, Ugochukwu. Ifnaya, design
Uh,
goddess. Thank you for
I also good evening.
yeah, thank you for your time. Sorry I was not able to join earlier. I had other stuff. Yeah, thanks for your
That's fine.
time and everything. We really, really appreciate for, out of your busy schedule. Found out this time to join. It's you guys don't know who you are speaking with. Don't worry, go to his Instagram page. Like, let me reduce the volume. So please
Oh
connect
God.
with him. Now he's willing to connect now. He's even say you can chat me up for resources. Not everybody's to say it though. So please, follow him. I'm going to drop the socials, on their Slack channel, right?
All right.
And maybe during their demo, I could call you for you to see one or two things they must have done. It'd be really
Yeah.
nice to have you again. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for the resources. I'll maybe Chidima may just get it from you, or the supervisor that chatted you up earlier will just get, in case for more resources, because I know you kept on saying resources.
Yeah.
I would really appreciate. Thank you so much. This is a lot, and a lot. I was very quite interactive. Thank you so much. Let's appreciate him. Yeah. All right. I think you can leave. We'll chat more fun. I don't know if you have any other things to ask. Tell them.
All right. Anyways, great job with that. I had an awesome time. I had an awesome time this evening. Like I said, I do hope to do this again with you guys. So yeah, have a great weekend and happy learning, I guess. Bye. Good night.
Yeah. Good night. All right. So I think Ugo Frisky have done a number of things. Lots, I think he kind of summarized what many of the teachers have been saying. Am I right or am I wrong? But I think so, I believe, because I followed to an extent. So I noticed that I have not been sending you guys your recordings. I'm going to do that for. Are you guys hearing me? Just to be sure.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, Ada, you can stop the recording. So I noticed, so there's some pending assignments. You can know assignments, yapa. So I'm going to allow you guys for the period of 1 week.